Hey all, Hertz here. Welcome to episode 0 of the last Railbook. In this episode, I want to explain the premise of the entire series. I started out with a couple of goals. One, to create the last Railbook you will ever need. It must handle 2-lane and 4-lane operations. It must be right-hand drive. The pieces must be small enough to allow for composition of larger rail structures, such as stations and mining outposts. And the Megabase trains need to be 216.2, and it needs to produce 10k science per minute. I really liked Nilaus's Base-in-a-Book and the Megabase-in-a-Book series, so my goal was to create blueprint books that will take you all the way from your starter base through your intermediate base all the way to your mega base. His blueprints snap into city blocks, which are 100 by 100. I do like the standardization of city blocks, but I always thought that there was like a better way to do things. While making the railbook, I realized that on segments made more sense than 100 by 100 city blocks. So I'll add this to the goals. Everything needs to snap into the 32 by 32 segments. I know a lot of people do not like snap on blueprints, but if you use this book, you'll realize how powerful snap is. So all the rail prints, the main bus, the intermediate base, all the mining outposts, all of the individual factories for the mega base, they all snap together perfectly like Lego bricks. I pulled from all the best known sources such as the Factorio forums, Factorio prints, and watching countless hours of YouTube videos. I do not really take ownership of these blueprint books. I've merely assembled the best of the best into one place. But what I do take ownership of is debugging all the all the prints so that they work perfectly, and then also making them snap together. So there are a few sub books. There are several blueprints that are going to be part of this series. Blueprint books. There's one, the last rail book, and there are a few sub books in there, and I'm going to show those to you now. There's the few prints here that are in the 2-lane book. So this is a straight section, a curve, a T intersection, a cross. This is a higher throughput cross if you've got more space, and a turnaround. And then in the 4-lane book, it's very similar. There's a straight, there's a lane change, a curve. These allow you to just move up one segment. Otherwise, you would need to assemble like 4 different curves together to just move up one segment. So those two allow you to change by one segment. Here we have a T, a 4-lane cross, and a 4-lane turnaround. And then the last pieces here are the adapters to allow you to switch from 2-lane to 4-lane. So this is just like a straight, and then this one is a pull into all the different bases. So this is used for like all the bases to enter and exit. Notice you only go from the nearest track on these. You can't go to every single lane. And then there are the station books. Here's a, let's see, this is an unloading station for the 1-4 trains. The 1-4 trains are all in the intermediate base. So the mega base is using 1-1 and 216.2 trains, and the intermediate base is using 1-4 trains. I'll go over those in a second. So this is a single unloading station. This is a double unloading station. This one is a double unloading station with private sidings. And then these are the loading stations, the same kind of setup. A single, a double, and a double with private sidings. And then there's the liquid versions of all of the same things. So all of the trains have a naming convention for the stations. So let's just go over one right here. If this is a coal station, you put in the type of train you want, so 1, 4, then a space, and then the icon of the material. And then if you hold down Alt, since this is an unloading station, you hold down Alt and press 2-7 on the keypad, and that means it's taking coal in, so the arrow's pointing at the coal. Um, so if you notice, here are the other stations that are actually on the map. I'm going to go over those. So as you'll see up here, we've got a provider of all the raw materials. So here I'm going to show you how the different trains work. So if you look in the blueprint book, we just went over the um, the different rail segments and the stations, and now I have blueprints for each of the trains. Um, so these are all the trains you're going to need for the 11, 14, and 216-2 trains. They are all pre-programmed to have their routes set up correctly. So you just need to place a train down, wait till it gets fuel in it, and then turn it to automatic, and it'll just do the right thing. I will show you that here in a second. Um, so if you notice, I've got trains down already for these. I'm just going to switch these into automatic mode. Okay, so those are all on automatic. The there's the 1-1 trains over here. Real quick, there's a fuel train, there's a bots train, a Logibot train, and then there's also a heavy oil train. You need heavy oil to prime the system for coal liquefaction. So that's how I use coal liquefaction for plastic. So that's how that works. So it'll just bring a couple of barrels of oil and then it'll prime the system. So all the stations have a little spot to drop off bots and a spot to drop off fuel, and then these bots will just take the fuel over and fuel the trains. So they'll just like automatically refill when they need to. So let's set up real quick an example. So in the Snap Megabase book, we have the blank grid square. And as you'll see, I place this down. It has 3 slots here for the megabases. The megabase like individual factories. So I'm going to put down, I'll just put down iron plate smelters. Put that there, and then I'm going to put 2 straight segments here to attach the output. So the input is down here. Just get. So each of the megabases are set up to have either 1, 2, or 3 inputs. There is one that has 4 inputs for science, but they generally have their own private siding for that output. So as you can see, this is all set up. So like there's one logistics network per base. Do not connect the logistics networks. You will have big problems if you do that. But so it just drops off 5 bots here, and then it drops off the fuel. And if it's like the plastic base, there's a slot here for heavy oil, and the bots will just, you know, do the right thing. Everything's set up so it just kind of like automatically does the right thing. Also, notice like electricity just hooks into the rail network. So like electricity is all taken care of. This has smarts here to request trains to. So if there's space in the chests here, it will. If there's enough space for an entire train to completely empty into these boxes, it will request a train. And then there's also radar coverage, so you can see what's going on at the base. All right, so this is all hooked up. Let me hook this up to the other side here. So I'm just going to grab the last rail book, the 4-lane rail, and just drag this across. Notice how everything snaps perfectly because we're all snapping on the segment, and you can see the segments by pressing F5. And notice how electricity just turned on. And as you can see, the trains are already coming. And so it's dropping off the couple of bots. It's starting to drop off fuel. It's already requested the ore trains. Yeah, they're just showing up and kind of doing the right thing over here. I'm going to real quick add another ore train here. I'll just put it down right here, just so you can see. So that's the ore train. If you look, it's set up, it's ready to go. If all I need to do is hit it into automatic mode, and it will just start doing the right thing. If you notice over here, these trains all have their inventory locked to just only use whatever the train is, so you don't accidentally pick up the wrong item. Let's see. There's trains provided for the 1-1 trains, the 1-4 trains, the 2-16-2 trains, and then there's, if you need to make a new train, I don't know why you would need to do that, but just in case you do, there's a book for in here for just the cargo wagons. So it's just one single cargo wagon with all of its inventory locked to the correct item. So that's useful for making new trains. All right. So there are a few different books that I'm using in this series. One is the last rail book. You'll start out with a jumpstart base. That's your initial base, and that will get you to the point where you start setting up your intermediate base. Then the snap base here is all the items you need for your intermediate base. The and it's really the first time you're introduced with the idea of snap. So your bus here, I will just show this real quick. Your bus snaps onto the segments, and you just can make your bus as long as you need to. What else do we have here? There's the last row, then there's the snap megabase. This is what I just used to put down the iron smelter, but there's a base setup for everything that you need to run 10K science a minute. You just have to like go through the process of building it. There is also the station base. This has all the different little pieces that I use to build these stations. There's like a liquid unloading, a solid unloading. There are the smarts here for requesting trains. There are these little drop-off bases for fuel and bots and heavy oil. There are all the different setups you need for the different like loading and unloading stations. There's like 1, 2, and 3 outputs, and then there's a loading station with up to 9 items coming in. I put a bunch extras so you can just delete them if you need to. Here's the smarts for loading and unloading, and this is set up specifically if items stack to 10, items stack to 50, 100, or 200, or if it's liquid. There's a section where you can put in lights if you want lights in the station. And there's also the mining outpost right here. Then we have, so we use we're using Rehnquist's balancers, the Spring 2022 version. I really don't know exactly how the math works on balancers, but it seems like the Rehnquist knows how this works. So I'm just using his book. If you want to substitute a different balancer book, be my guest. All right, so these there will be a link for each of these 6 different blueprint books in the description of this video, and the description for all the videos, really. Um, so, that's about it. Thanks everyone for picking up what I'm putting down, and we'll see you in episode 1 of the last rail book.